Hello, my name is Jim Ertl, and today I'm going to talk to you about my fistula, which is a big one. Before we get rolling today, guys, I just would like to say if you could hit subscribe and like on the videos, it would help me to get my word around as I'm trying to look for a donor for a kidney transplant. And not just that, I'm trying to pass along my experiences to try and help others who are going through the same thing. I've been doing this now for 12 years, so I've had a lot of experience between the 8 years of dialysis, 4 years with a transplant that was not 100% when they used the kidney they used, and now I'm still fighting along to get to the search to find a new donor. So if you could hit subscribe and like that, that'd be great. So anyway, today we're going to talk about my fistula. Like I say, it's a big one. This is what they use when they give you dialysis treatment. They use 14 gauge needles. The bigger bump is where they draw the blood out, goes into the dialysis machine. The littler bump, which neither one are really little, that's how the blood returns back in to your system after it's filtered through the machine. Uh, Basically, mine is really big because, well, I did 8 years of dialysis first off before I got a transplant, waiting on the list, but the kidney that we ended up using wasn't 100%. They kind of mis-pre-screened it, and it had 40 to 50% scar tissue. So normally they could take the fistula out and remove that because basically it's just a giant aneurysm. So if it ever was to get cut with that, like it would be a massive problem, and you would have to get somewhere really really fast. They couldn't take mine out after the transplant because unfortunately the kidney was 100% and I never got really good kidney function. So because of that, this fistula still could be active if I had to use it. If my kidney would fail much more before I could find a donor, I would have to go back to dialysis. I'm hoping not to do that, but that's why they never took mine out. So basically, having the fistula as you go through dialysis, what they do after treatment is they pull the needles, and when they do, because they're 14 gauge needles, they'll put a gauze on there, and you have to hold them if you're capable. Some of the older people wouldn't, and they would use a clamp on them that would clamp around them, and it holds it in place for 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that that hole clots up, because you don't want that leaking, after the treatment. Some of the people would take buses or whatnot to get there, and you wouldn't want that to open up. I had it open up a few times, and when they open and bleed, they bleed pretty massively because that 14 gauge leaves a pretty big hole, and they have to stop it. So you got to go back through the pressure point and everything, and the pressure behind that in that is pretty good, so it flows out of there quite well. Uh, they used to, after you hold, they would put a gauze and a band-aid on that, and you would go home. When I got home, I used to change mine, making sure it was not going to bleed again. I would rub it with some alcohol to get the stickiness from the old band-aid off it, and I would put a new band-aid on until the next day. They give you restrictions. When you have that fistula going through dialysis, you're not allowed to lift more than 5 pounds because they don't want that building up. When they first put the fistula in you, with me, dialysis came as a total shock, so I didn't get no warning. Normally, people who are going through kidney failure, as they know and monitor it, they'll put the fistula in it as it takes some time to develop. Usually it takes about 6 to 8 weeks, and they'll give you a ball that you squeeze, and that'll keep making it. What they do is they sew a vein and an artery together to form a bigger vessel so they could put those big needles in, because your arteries wouldn't be big enough to take the 14 gauge. So over time, after you hook them two together, they become one bigger vessel, and that's how they get to use them big needles to do what they have to do with the dialysis treatments. Down the line, like I say, I wasn't able to get mine out. Some people do, which is what I like to do if I for sure, because it's just a big aneurysm. Like I say, it's a target. You're always aware that it's there, and it's pretty scary. So I wear protection on mine. I found a couple of different sleeves, like This one here, it's cut resistant for like if a knife or some kind of, like a rose pricker bush, any kind of thing, this would stop. It gets to slice at least. I like to fish and stuff, so if I go out and do anything like outside or fishing, I have this one. It's more or less an MMA fighting glove or fighting pad that they wear. I found that it's got a hard protection, so it protects like if a hook ever came back or anything. God forbid it caught that, it would be a real problem out there. So there's a few different ones. There's that one's got the harder pad. This one's got softer pad, and it still protects the whole thing pretty. That's also pretty good. There's many of them out there on the market, and I definitely have to wear, especially with mine being big. But anybody out the dialysis, there's plenty of those sleeves out there, and I recommend you definitely should use one of those. I'll put the links in the description down below to a couple of them. They're from Amazon where I got them, and there's other places, but I found that was one of the better places for me to go to get it. So basically, that's the deal on the fistula. Like I say, I'm looking to try and get a transplant. I'm working with a kidney donor organization called Kidneys for Communities, and I'll put my profile link to that in the description down below too, as well. If you're interested in anybody out there with being a donor or learning about that, you can go to that link. You can find out all about them. They're a great organization. So that'll do it today for the fistula. Everybody's, like I say, hit like and subscribe, and we'll keep the videos coming. Thanks a lot.